What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Jimmy Does Coasters. A lot has happened at Six Flags Magic Mountain recently. We got a new park president, there's been a new Looney Tunes land, which is a reimagination of the Bugs Bunny world, which led to the destruction of Magic Flyer and Speedy Gonzales hot rod racers, and the construction of a mysterious Vekoma thrill glider is underway where the Big Bear Theater once was. It leaves a lot of questions. Makes me wonder, which is the next roller coaster to be removed for park expansion after the new roller coaster opens? I'm going to talk about each roller coaster and how likely I think they are to be removed within the next 5 to 10 years on a scale of 1 to 10. So let's jump in. Before we start, I just want to start off by saying that after the Looney Tunes land led to the demolition of 2 roller coasters, Six Flags is actually sitting now at 16 roller coasters, which is high in average, but for Magic Mountain that's pretty small because Superman was also closed recently. So I don't think they need to remove any roller coasters. I'm not rooting for it, but we're just trying to predict which ones will come next because as they expand the park, eventually they'll have to remove some roller coasters for the new ones they're bringing in. First up is Apocalypse, the park's only traditional wooden roller coaster, and I would give this a 6, moderate danger. This is a really fun roller coaster, I love it, but it's a super short roller coaster, it has a lot of downtime, and it has really slow loading, which means really slow capacity. So I don't know if they would get rid of it because getting rid of their only wooden roller coaster doesn't seem like a very good move, but I could totally see them going with removing this in the next few years because it hasn't been so reliable. Batman the Ride, 4. This is a really fun ride, but it's an old ride and a clone and one of the least popular rides in the park. Don't get me wrong, it's a super fun ride that people love, but this is one of the rides that you can walk onto more often than the other rides. This sits on a really small plot of land, so there's not really much that they would be able to do with it if they took it out, and it doesn't cause that many maintenance nightmares for the park. So while this isn't a ride that draws in the crowds, I think it's a classic ride that gives people something to do and doesn't take away a lot from the park, so I think it's safe for now. Canyon Blaster, 4. They've announced so many changes to Looney Tunes Land, including removing 2 roller coasters, but Canyon Blaster was not one of them. So I think since they're just starting this whole new kids land, I think they're going to keep this here for a long time since they're not going to get rid of a new coaster that's part of the new vision. So this one's safe for now. Even though it's an oldie, it's a classic for the kids. Full Throttle, 2. This is a really new coaster, relatively speaking. I think it came out in the 2010s, like 2016 or something. It's a very popular roller coaster and it has an epic view at the front of the park with that giant loop. This is a slow loading time because it's a very short ride with the launch and it's hard to load multiple people at the same time. But it's overall a pretty reliable coaster that draws in the crowds and it just adds so much to the park, and because it's so new, I don't see them getting rid of this for a long time. Gold Rusher, 4. This is the first roller coaster of the park, so also the oldest. While it's a janky ride, a lot of people love it, even though it doesn't draw the most intense crowds. I understand that it's not that expensive to operate, and while it does spread over the hill, it isn't taking up that much space that's prime real estate for a roller coaster. Thrill Glider will be a neighbor, but not in the way of it, so I think it'll stay as just a happy neighbor. And it does go under Superman, which isn't going to be coming down because of the structural need for it. I think they'll keep this one alive as long as they can because it's a classic. I think taking away this is taking away part of the first identity of the park. Goliath, 6. This is such a big coaster and it's pretty reliable. It has an epic skyline presence. I love the roller coaster, even though it is one of the now least popular rides in the park. I know among coaster enthusiasts, they're mad about it because they think it has wasted potential as a hyper. Now, I will say this is on a very large plot of land, which could be super valuable for the next big thing. Like if you took out Goliath, you would have so much room to do with that land, so I could see them being very tempted by that. People are talking a lot about how Magic Mountain is due for Giga Coaster next, because there are no Gigas on the entire West Coast, if you can believe that. And having a Giga Coaster would just decrease the need for Goliath because it would be a shorter, less extreme version of everything. Right now, it's the tallest operating ride in the park, believe it or not, since Superman closed, so it will at least stay until a Giga is or will be built, is my prediction. Ninja, 9. Ninja is an awesome aero-suspended swinging coaster, but these are dying off. Rumors have it that the next project after Looney Tunes Land overhaul and the coaster construction finishes for that Vekoma thrill glider is that they want to revamp the top of the mountain, because right now, since Superman closed, the only thing up there is Ninja and the closed down observation tower. And I think Ninja's old and they want to really use that hillside for something epic. So because it's old and people don't want to hike the top of the hill just for Ninja, I think they're going to take that out to make room for their next big thing. I've heard rumbles of it getting torn down, unfortunately, which is what makes me rate it as a 9, is I've just heard a lot of other people say that Ninja is actually on the chopping block. So get your rides and your goodbyes in while you can. I think we still have a few more years, but I'd say 5 to 10 years from now, this is unfortunately not going to be at Magic Mountain anymore. Roadrunner Express, I would give this a 2. I think it's already been announced they've tearing down Magic Flyer and Speedy Gonzales Hot Rod Racers, and Roadrunner Express is the core part of the Roadrunner Cove, which is a section of the Looney Tunes land. So it's hard to have a Roadrunner Cove without the Roadrunner Express coaster. This is one of the Six Flags' newest coasters, so I think they're keeping this one for a while. Just remember, before the next one, if you can like and subscribe, that would help me a lot to keep on making these videos. Thank you. Scream 7. Scream runs fine, and there's no immediate operational need to tear it down, and it's already in the parking lot, so there's not exactly a dream space for a roller coaster that it's taking up. But the reason I give this one a 7 is that Scream is one of the least popular rides in the park. Don't get me wrong, I love riding it every time, but I don't think it offers a lot that other coasters don't already in the park. So I can see them replacing it with something more unique and fitting to the steampunk district, especially since Riddler's Revenge up the way in Gotham City has everything Scream has, just bigger. I'll talk more about that when I get to Riddler. Tatsu 3. Tatsu, in my opinion, is the world's best B&M flyer. It's a very popular ride at Six Flags, one of the ones that you run to when the gates open, and I don't think it gets enough love in the coaster world outside of the Six Flags locals. It's an epic skyline coaster and has an epic view from the front of the park, so taking away that would just really take a lot from the park. And I think this ride is going to stay for a long time because even though it is more operationally complicated, it is just a unique and beloved experience that it brings to the park. Also, since this flies above the trees, it wouldn't really be taking the ideal place of a future project unless they want to do a lot of tree removal, so I think this one is safe for a while. The Classic Revolution, now renamed as the Great American Revolution, 5. This ride has a reason to stick around just because of its iconic history as the world's first traditional looping roller coaster, and it's also an ACE landmark, so I don't think the park's going to take out an ACE coaster landmark. It weaves through the trees, so it also would need a lot of tree removal if something else were to replace it that didn't have the same layout. That being said, this ride is one of the less popular rides in the park, although I love it a lot, and it has a lot of downtime. I'm not sure if it's because of mechanical issues or cost cutting, but this ride has been closed for almost all of my most recent visits. While it's an icon, I wouldn't be surprised if the park decided to axe this coaster to stop having to worry about its upkeep despite lower riding numbers. But this does have such an iconic presence in the park, especially with that loop right by the Six Flags fountains. I think this one will stay, but I think there's going to be a lot of push to get rid of it that they're going to have to push back on. Riddler's Revenge, also 5. This, in my opinion, is better in every way than Scream. I think one of these two coasters will stay in the next 10 years and the other will be taken down. It's just a matter of deciding which one they want to keep and which one they want to get rid of. Scream is just so much newer than Riddler, so I'll give it that. But Riddler is taller, faster, and has a better layout in my opinion. The strongest argument against Riddler is that a lot of people don't like stand-up roller coasters, although I love them. And stand-up roller coasters are a dying breed. A lot of them are either being torn down or they're being transitioned to be sitting down, floorless roller coasters in the last few years. So my guess is in the next 10 years, the most likely option if one of these is to get removed is Scream is taken away and Riddler is turned into a floorless roller coaster. Although I will say, Riddler sits on a prime spot of land, so if they want to do something big, I can see that being tempted. But I'm guessing Riddler takes the cake over Scream. Twisted Colossus 2. I just want to say it would be a crime to tear down Twisted Colossus. This and X2 I think are the two rides that are most strongly tied to the identity of Magic Mountain for park visitors. Twisted Colossus is relatively new since its conversion by RMC from the original Colossus, and yes, this just sits on a large plot of land, but it's a parking lot coaster no doubt, and this is just too popular of a ride to tear down. With Twisted Colossus not racing very often, there is a sense of frustration from guests surrounding the ride's operations, but if the ride was ever to be axed, Magic Mountain must have something pretty awesome up its sleeves, or they just really don't like people enjoying their park. Viper 8. I love Viper and I try to ride it every time I go to the park, but I will admit it is among the least popular rides in the park with often the shortest line of all the major coasters, besides Scream maybe. This was built in 1990, so it's been here for a while, but it still offers a lot of unique things to the park in my opinion. These huge Aero Super Loopers have been closing across America. They're a dying breed, and Viper is one of the last ones still open. I know a lot of people predicted it would have been closed like 5 or 10 years ago, and it's still here, so maybe they got some plans for it. But I say if Six Flags wants to invest in the coaster, they can start by getting new trains with better legroom and just a lap bar. This ride is pretty rattly, and you bang your head a lot on the shoulder restraints if you're not careful. I think Six Flags will decide it's eventually not worth the upkeep of this ride going strong, especially with the perfect plot of land it sits on for something awesome. West Coast Racers 3. Being a launch coaster, this one might have more downtime than the average coaster, but it's pretty reliable overall. This is the perfect roller coaster for Six Flags to have a great future, blending thrills with an experience that family can enjoy. It's low to the ground, but never touching the ground, so it's really not taking up any space for stores or buildings or any other coasters on the ground. This is a ride that is kind of like an apology for Twisted Colossus not racing every time though. And I think this ride is just too new, too popular, too thrilling, and too family friendly to be demolished. And if they did want to demolish it, there are so many other coasters that would hit the chopping block first. Wonder Woman Flight of Courage 2. This one had some surprise downtime, but it's a unique experience in the park's newest coaster. It would take an operational nightmare for this to close down in the next 10 years. Because it's a single rail, it sits on a very skinny plot of land, so it's not really stealing land from any other future coaster, especially because it just jets out into the middle of the walkway. X2 4. This is a complicated one, but I think X2 is one of the most iconic and insane roller coasters out there. It's also the first roller coaster you see when driving into Six Flags, and it's just such a crazy sight and has a very strong presence. But it is also one of the most complicated roller coasters operationally, with so many different aspects to handle and repair. Most of all, the seat rotation, especially in the back, is super wobbly and can kind of hurt you if you're a less experienced rider. I think that's part of the extremity that it offers, so I'm fine with it, but I can imagine that repairing the trains or getting new ones is very complicated. So it would be an operational breath of fresh air for Six Flags to remove this coaster, but I hope they understand that if they remove X2, they remove Magic Mountain from the conversation of the must-visit, most amazing parks in the country and world. They stripped themselves of the thing that made people think of Magic Mountain the way they do, and I think Six Flags understands that, so I don't think they'll get rid of this coaster anytime soon, but I bet they've been tempted to every now and then. And that is a wrap on our coaster news for this month. This is a new monthly series, so if you have any feedback on improvements for these videos each month, let me know in the comments, and if you want to support the channel and stay in the loop, do the Coaster World a favor and like and subscribe. Parks are opening around the nation this month. I hope your next visit to one of them is epic. Jimmy out.